Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA. Let's talk about what is happening in this, fairly painful day in the markets. I'll give you my thoughts moving forward and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, guys, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc. Well, again, I do have that private YouTube membership where I'm constantly sharing my thoughts, post updates, including on days like today. I don't just run away and hide. I'm always giving my thoughts on what's happening in the market, good or bad, right? Good or bad days, right? I try to do my best to be there when, things matter. So again, that's, link is down below, constant posting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just $3 a month. That's all it is for the first tier, which includes Tesla updates, different time frame analysis, options flow, and broader market updates, SPY, Qs, VIX. $5 includes NVIDIA. $7, of course, includes the whole package. If you're interested, where you get access to my tier 3 posts on YouTube, of course, which includes essentially other individual tickers, except for Tesla and NVIDIA, that are setting up nicely, something that's, looking bullish, or like something that's just nice in the chart. If the chart's setting up nicely, looking for some potential, that's what I share. And then, of course, you have the Discord access where we have the tier 3 chat room. I have chart reviews every single Sunday that I do with my members as well. So again, we'd love to have you there. Check it out if you're interested. See what you think. But yeah, jumping into it, NVIDIA closing down about 3.6% on the day. Not atrocious, to be honest. I mean, compared to the broader market, holding up, we'll say, decently well. Closing at 180, pretty much 187. So NVIDIA came right down to a major support area down here. Again, kind of like what we did back here. And right there again, right? This was a very large area of resistance before. Very large area of resistance. Now it's turning into a support, which is good, right? That is good. It obviously dropped a little bit further than I expected, right? I obviously didn't want to see us a drop and especially close below 188, which was that gap fill. Obviously, we got that today. That doesn't mean that my bullish scenario is completely voided, right? It doesn't void the bullish scenario. What would void the bullish scenario is if we start closing below pretty much 180, pretty much below today's low, actually, right? Below this area right here. If we start closing below that and turning it into resistance, then it's, not looking as good. That's for sure. It's looking much more concerning. But above this, and I'll show you more in the 1 hour, it's not a void. It's just the stock is less strength than I expected, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it doesn't mean that the strength is gone entirely or anything like that, right? So that is worth mentioning, especially considering we're still holding the 50 EMA. Bounce from here, bounce here, bounce here, bounce here, bounce here, bounce here, potentially, right? We've bounced from this 50 EMA several times already with this stock, right? So we're pretty much right there again, right? We're in that exact same scenario that we've been in several times that I've circled right here. You can see that we've obviously, found bullish bounces from. So is this going to be just another one like the past? Yeah, I mean, so far, until proven otherwise, it seems like that's the case, right? So that's going to be the way I'll be looking at it, right? We have the 4-hour SMI kind of right in the middle. So, it's pretty neutral. The 1-hour SMI, though, however, is near the bottom, which is a good sign for the bulls. That implies that there's arguably more pressure to the upside from here than to the further downside, which is good. In my opinion, that's good. And then, of course, we have really just the 1-hour time frame charting in itself, really. So there's two things I want to go over. The first of which is going to be this trend line, right? This is the trend line I've been talking about that the bulls need to break above. We were really close to it yesterday, but like I said, we're not actually above it. We need to get above that trend line, which yesterday, if we happen to be bullish today, for instance, would have been about 185. Clearly, today wasn't very bullish, right? So we didn't break that trend line and we continue chopping down to the bottom end of the spectrum. Now this trend line is sitting, if it happens maybe even tomorrow, I would say about 192, 193, something like that, right? Breaking above that range, which is also resistance, that would be a bullish sign to head higher from here. And that's kind of what I'll be looking for moving forward. Once this trend line breaks and we essentially break above about 192 again, that could be a nice looking bullish signal getting ready to activate, right? That the NVIDIA is ready to rally back up higher, at the very least to retest 200, potentially even 206. The issue with 206 now, at least going into earnings, I want to make that very clear because earnings itself is a massive gamble. Nobody knows how earnings is going to go. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. It's a massive gamble. The issue with with us closing below 188, because there is still an issue with it. It's not, perfect. Like I said, it increases, not necessarily increases the weakness, it decreases the strength is a better way to put it, right? At least in my eyes, it decreases the strength slightly. So 206 to me now, as that second kind of more bullish target, I wouldn't say it's completely zero. It's definitely not removed. It's just not as a high probability target going into earnings specifically as I expected initially, assuming we held this gap and held above it and ideally didn't even fill it, bounce a bit lower and then push up higher. That would have been the ideal scenario. Obviously, we didn't get that. We're in a bit of a different situation, so we have to adapt. So, 206 becomes a bit less likely. The probability has definitely decreased for me because of today's close and how we ultimately closed. I do want to make that very clear. However, I do think that a gap fill up here to around 199 to 200, that becomes kind of that, much more likely target. Now, once this trend line breaks, so very important, this trend line, it needs to snap, guys. Very, very important. And that's kind of what I'll be looking for moving forward, especially with the 1 hour SMI down here. That's also really good. And I think the stock, again, I do think there's more risk to the upside than continued downside from where we are right now on NVIDIA going into as early as tomorrow. Personally speaking, not financial advice, of course. On top of that, we also did pretty much tap the green Fibonacci's, you can see, right? We ended up, getting this nice bullish little move from the bottom, right? Made a higher high because this was lower low. We're making lower lows, lower highs, and this is a higher high. This could just be a nice higher low right here, right into those green fibs. And again, this is a pretty prime spot for NVIDIA to start looking for that bounce higher, and especially for stronger confirmation, again, above that trend line. And then, I would think a move above about 192 to 193 to closer to 200, 199 is pretty likely. So let's see, guys. Let's see. That's kind of how I see right now NVIDIA, moving forward. Again, earnings is, of course, next week, Wednesday. So there's not that much time left to get at least some juice to squeeze here in this stock before earnings comes around, at which point it's obviously anyone's guess at that point, right? I'm not going to try to predict where the stock is going to go on earnings, the actual reaction after hours, the day after, though it's going to be pretty volatile. Nobody knows. I don't know. You don't know. Your dog doesn't know. Your cat doesn't know. Nobody knows. Not even Jensen knows, probably, right? So let's see, guys. Let's see how this reacts overall. But that's going to be the way I'll be looking at overall. Those are the key levels I'll be watching for. And I do believe that there is a higher likelihood of a bounce from here than not moving forward, at least into tomorrow. And then we'll have to reassess, of course. But watch for this trend line break as well on the stock. But yeah, all in all, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.